When a group of tiny living organisms wriggle in the nutrient solution under the laboratory microscope, a scientist in a white coat stares at this microscopic world, with a light of discovery in his eyes. This is Louis Pasteur, the founder of microbiology, a pioneer who used science to dispel ignorance and save countless lives. Unlike Newton, who revealed the laws of the universe, or Edison, who invented practical devices, he pulled humanity out of the shadow of infectious diseases, with groundbreaking achievements, such as pasteurization and vaccine development, laying a solid foundation for modern medicine and industry. From a teenager in Dole, France, to a professor at the École Normale Supérieure in Paris, from studying fermentation phenomena to conquering rabies, Pasteur's life was like a beacon, illuminating the unknown fields of the microbial world. Born in 1822 in the town of Dole in eastern France, Louis Pasteur's father was a retired soldier who ran a tannery. In his childhood, Pasteur was not a top student in the traditional sense. He was more keen on observing plants and animals in the countryside, full of curiosity about various phenomena in nature. At the age of 11, he entered the École d'Arbois and gradually showed an interest in chemistry and physics, often doing simple experiments in his spare time. In 1843, Pasteur was admitted to the École Normale Supérieure in Paris, studying under the famous chemist Jean-Baptiste Dumas. During his university years, he devoted himself to scientific research, focusing on the study of crystal structures. In 1848, he discovered the phenomenon of optical isomerism in tartaric acid. That is, crystals of the same substance have two forms, left-handed and right-handed. This discovery laid the foundation for later stereochemistry, and made the young Pasteur stand out in the scientific community. After graduation, Pasteur taught at the University of Dijon, the University of Strasbourg, and the University of Lille successively. During this period, he began to turn his research direction to fermentation phenomena. At that time, France's wine industry and silk industry were facing serious problems. Wine and beer often deteriorated, and silkworm diseases raged, leading to a sharp reduction in silk production. These practical problems stimulated Pasteur's research enthusiasm, and also made him forge an indissoluble bond with the microbial world. Pasteur's greatest contribution was overthrowing the theory of spontaneous generation and establishing the germ theory. That is, all living things come from existing organisms, and microorganisms are no exception. The proposal of this theory completely changed humanity's understanding of the origin of life. In the mid-19th century, it was generally believed that the decay of meat and the deterioration of wine were due to the spontaneous generation of microorganisms from the substances themselves. Pasteur refuted this view through carefully designed experiments. He put broth into a swan-necked flask, heated it to sterilize, and due to the special structure of the swan-necked flask, microorganisms in the air could not enter, so the broth could remain fresh for a long time. When he broke the neck of the swan-necked flask to let air enter, the broth quickly deteriorated. This simple but powerful experiment proved that microorganisms come from the air, not from spontaneous generation. Based on this discovery, Pasteur further studied fermentation phenomena. He found that the fermentation of wine and beer is caused by microorganisms, such as yeast, and deterioration is due to the reproduction of harmful microorganisms. To solve this problem, he invented pasteurization, heating liquids, such as wine and milk, to a certain temperature, usually 60 to 80 degrees Celsius, keeping it for a period of time, and then cooling it quickly. This can kill harmful microorganisms while retaining beneficial components. This method is still widely used in the food industry to ensure food safety. In the process of studying silkworm diseases, Pasteur found that silkworm diseases are caused by two parasitic microorganisms. By screening healthy silkworm eggs and formulating strict breeding standards, he successfully controlled the spread of silkworm diseases and saved France's silk industry. This achievement not only showed the application value of microbiology in agriculture, but also provided ideas for later prevention and treatment of infectious diseases. Pasteur's achievements in vaccine development pushed his scientific career to the peak, bringing hope for humanity to resist infectious diseases. In 1877, Pasteur began to study anthrax, a serious animal infectious disease that can also be transmitted to humans. He isolated anthrax bacilli from the blood of sick animals, and after repeated cultivation and attenuation, obtained anthrax bacilli strains with weakened toxicity. After injecting this attenuated strain into animals, the animals would develop immunity to anthrax. In 1881, Pasteur conducted a public experiment in Poitiers. He injected 24 sheep with the attenuated anthrax vaccine, and another 24 sheep served as controls. 3 weeks later, all sheep were injected with a lethal dose of anthrax bacilli. As a result, all sheep in the control group died, while all sheep vaccinated survived. The success of this experiment marked the arrival of the era of vaccination. Subsequently, Pasteur turned his research target to the more dangerous rabies. Rabies is an acute infectious disease caused by a virus, with a mortality rate of almost 100% once symptoms appear. Since the rabies virus cannot be observed under a microscope, research is extremely difficult. Pasteur and his team extracted the virus from the brain tissue of animals infected with rabies, and gradually reduced the toxicity of the virus through multiple passages in rabbits, finally developing the rabies vaccine. In Itsembabe Bashawu, a 9-year-old boy, Joseph Meister, who was bitten by a mad dog, was sent to Pasteur in a critical condition. Pasteur took the risk of injecting the rabies vaccine into the boy, and after more than 10 days of treatment, the boy miraculously recovered. This was the first successfully cured case of rabies in human history, and Pasteur was therefore known as the savior, to allow more people to receive treatment. Pasteur established the Rabies Prevention Institute in Paris, which later became the Pasteur Institute, one of the world's most famous biomedical research institutions.